Hi everyone, welcome back. In this lecture, let us take a look into aggregate functions in SQL. Well, the aggregate functions perform calculations on multiple values and returns a single result. They are used to perform the operations such as counting the rows, counting the sum, counting the average, counting the minimum and maximum values. Alright, so these aggregate functions basically we use to calculate the multiple values and return a single result. There are main 5 types of aggregate functions: count, sum, average, min and max. The count aggregate function we use to count the number of rows or non-null values in a specified column. The sum aggregate function we use to calculate the sum of all the values in a specified column. We use average aggregate function to calculate the average of all the values in a specified column. We use min aggregate function to get a minimum value in a specified column. We use max aggregate function to get a maximum value in a specified column. So these are the main 5 types of aggregate functions. In this lecture, we will see count aggregate function. In upcoming lectures, we will take a look into other aggregate functions. Alright, so let us take a look into the count aggregate function. The count aggregate function we use to count the number of rows or non-null values in a specified column. So let us go ahead and learn more about count method with examples. So here, let us use command prompt or the command line interface to connect to the MySQL server. So just search for cmd, that is command prompt, and open the command prompt over here. And here let us use the command to connect to the MySQL server. So just type MySQL -u for username, just type root as a username, -p for password, hit enter, and here let us enter the valid password. Now we connected with MySQL server. Next, let us see the databases. Just type the command show databases to see all the databases available. So these are the databases available. So here in a list you can see the company database. So let us drop this company database and recreate the company database with employees table and some sample data. So here just type drop database followed by the database name company. Next, let us create a company database again. Just type the command create database company. Now we created company database. Next, let us use this company database by using use company command. Next, let us create an employees table with some sample data. So here let me quickly create the employees table and sample data. So here create table statement to create employees table with column ID, first name, last name, email, salary, department, and here insert into statement to insert the rows into employees table. Okay, now we have employees table with some sample data in a company database. Next, we are good to use the aggregate functions, right? So here in order to verify the data, so just type select star from employees. Now let us use count aggregate function to find the number of rows in a table. So here just type the command select and then count aggregate function, and then within a parenthesis just pass the star. So here we are passing star because the count aggregate function basically counts the number of rows in the table, and the number of rows can include the null values. Okay, so here in our employees table you can see over here there are 6 rows and some of the columns has a null values. You can see last name column has some null values, right? So this count star basically counts all the rows in a table that can have a null values as well. Okay, next let us give alias as employee underscore count and then from employees table. Next hit enter, and there we go. You can see there are total 6 employees in the table, and that is the count you can see over 6. Okay, so this is how we use count aggregate function to count the number of rows in a table. Next, let us see how to use count aggregate function to count the number of rows that does not include the null values. For example, you can see here last name column has couple of null values, right? Now what we want to do is we want to use count aggregate function to count the number of rows which don't have a null values. Okay, so here just type the command select and then count aggregate function, and then in this case if we want to find the number of rows that does not include the null values, then we have to pass the column name. For example, last underscore name. So this count function basically count the number of non-null values from this last column. Okay, and then alias employee underscore count from employees table. Hit enter, and here you can see the count 4. So if you look at the last name column, there are 4 non-null values, 1 2 3 4. So that is what you can see the count over here. So this is how we use count aggregate function to count the number of rows that does not have a null values. Okay, next let us see how to use count aggregate function to find the unique rows in the table. For example, here you can see salary column has a duplicate values, like you can see 20,000 20,000 20,000 15 15, right? So now let us see how to use count aggregate function to find the unique values or the count of unique salary in the employees table. Alright, so here just type the command select followed by count aggregate function, and then within a parenthesis just mention the keyword distinct. So we use distinct keyword to find the unique rows in the table. Okay, so here just type distinct. Make sure to type the spelling correctly, and then followed by the column. So here we are basically counting the unique values in the salary column. So hence we have mentioned salary column over here, and then alias employee underscore count, and then from employees table. Okay, and then hit enter, and here you can see the count 3. So if you look at the table value again, so there are 3 unique salaries, right? 25 20 15, and other are duplicates. So that is what you can see the count over here. So this is how we use count aggregate function to find the unique rows in the table. Next let us see how to use count aggregate function with where clause. So let us see how to write a SQL statement to find the number of employees in a specific department. Let us say IT department. So here before that let us list out all the records, select star from employees. Now let us see how to use count aggregate function to find the number of employees in the IT department. So IT department has 3 employees. So this 3 count we need to find. So for that let us write the SQL query over here. So just type select followed by the column name, department, and then count aggregate function, and then star as give the alias employee count, and then from employees, and just mention the where clause because we are going to find the employee count for a specific department. For that we have to add the condition using where clause. So here department equal to IT. Hit enter, and here you can see the count 3. So IT department has 3 employees. Next, if you want to find the employee count for HR department, just change the value from IT to HR. Okay, great. Next let us see how to use count aggregate function with group by clause. Alright, so here let us write the SQL statement to retrieve the employees by department and count the number of employees for each department. For that just type the SQL statement select followed by the column name department. So we are going to group the employees by department, hence department column name over here, and then followed by the count aggregate function, and then pass the star, and then as employee underscore count. So this is the alias name, and then from employees, and then group by clause, group by department. So this query retrieves the employees by department and count the number of employees in each department. Okay, just hit enter, and there we go. You can see the result set over here. IT department has an employee count 3, HR department has employee count 2, sales department has employee 1. So this is how we use count aggregate function with group by clause to group the employees and count the number of employees in each department. Okay, so this is all about using count aggregate function. Alright, great. I will see you in the next lecture.